Greetings, African family. Welcome to another episode of Clear Thinking with Brother Dulani. In this episode, we're taking another look at the meeting between Donald Trump and the South African President Cyril Ramaphosa. I watched that meeting at the White House, and I was very perturbed by this meeting. You know, we expected that Donald Trump was going to pull something out of his sleeve. We expect him to accuse South Africa of carrying out a genocide against white people. We kind of assume these things were going to happen. And I was saying to myself, if we can assume that they're going to come and accuse South Africa of committing genocide, surely the South African government and delegates would be prepared. It seems that they were somewhat prepared, but there was an element that was missing. And it had me kind of scratching my head a little bit, because you know they're going to accuse you of genocide. You got to come there as you go into court ready to defend yourself, defend your country, defend your dignity, and to, most importantly, refute the claim of genocide. You should come out firmly, clearly, and refute that claim. There is no genocide in South Africa. You have to go on record. You have to let the international media, the international community, the people of the world know that there is no genocide in South Africa, that it's all been fabricated. This is a propaganda created by Elon Musk and his fellow billionaires and millionaires and those who are in South Africa that wants to maintain white domination of the population. That is where this propaganda, this lie, this falsehood is coming from the Alpha Forum organization in Southern Africa. And many of those South African elites and owners of the land and the corporations in South Africa and the banks, they want to maintain their control. White people make up less than 10%, I think around 7% of the South African population. Yet they own over 70% of the wealth of South Africa. And no one is talking about how do we address this injustice, this imbalance. We can allow 7% of the population to own 70% of the wealth. That is unsustainable. That is an injustice. That cannot be acceptable in the modern era if we're talking about truth and justice. Well, we know that those in power now, the imperialist forces that assume control of the most powerful military in the world, the United States of America, they don't care about the truth. They don't care about equality, justice, diversity, equity. They don't care nothing about those principles. Those principles have been thrown out the window, and they're dealing with complete domination, complete imperial power, rulership of people and the world. And they have their own set of facts, their own set of view of this world. And it doesn't align with our spirit of Ubuntu. It doesn't align with our spirit of Mahat. It doesn't align with our spirit of building a better world for our people. It doesn't align with that. They would want to maintain that domination that they have had for 500 years. And that's why they're willing to go to any length, spreading all type of lies about what is happening to white people in South Africa. Because it seems as if that is what Elon Musk has wanted all along, to somehow ingratiate himself with the white people and become their savior white people in South Africa. So he goes and get the ears of Donald Trump and feed him all kind of falsehood. Because I surely know that Donald Trump do not know what is going on in South Africa. He's just following what he's been told. As despicable and as narcissistic as his character is, he doesn't know. He's just following, and he's trusting Elon Musk to give him the right information, and he's being fed bogus information. Because what he came on the scene at the White House with, that information, with pictures of people he claimed has been slaughtered, and there's mass grave, and the pictures, one of the pictures he showed were actually of mass grave in the Congo. That got to be embarrassing. But these people, they have no shame. They do not care. He claims that there was a mass burial site where there is white cross representing a dead body. And the people then went out there to pay respect to their dead relative, all white. And there was no such thing. There is no mass burial site in South Africa. And those crosses was brought there to represent people that was killed from all races. But they don't care about the truth. And what pleases me is, and I must say, the move by the president of Ghana, who came out and wrote an op-ed in The Guardian, pretty much clarifying about the misunderstanding, not even a misunderstanding, clarifying the falsehood and the misrepresentation of the facts. You know, saying it's an insult to our integrity. It's an insult to our intelligence to come accuse us of genocide in South Africa when we have genocide on the record that's happening right now as we speak, where people are fearing for their life around the world, and the United States refuse to assist those people. People in the Middle East are suffering from genocide. People in the Congo are experiencing some form of genocide, and nothing has been done to alleviate those people. But a handful of white people in South Africa get the attention of the world, get the attention of the big bad superpower. It's all hypocrisy. And I appreciate the fact that another president from another African country can come out and show support for the truth and show support for South Africa and their leadership, because what was done at the White House was a travesty. And it's an insult to African people everywhere. For you to just blanketly can just come out and accuse somebody with no evidence, no report, no FBI report, no CIA report, no intelligence report. You took newspaper clippings as a president and used that to prove genocide in a country. You couldn't come up with an intelligent assessment report. You see, these people are not concerned about the truth. And that's why they're willing to go to any length to push their propaganda, to push their far-right ideological agenda. That's what it is. It's not based on truth. It's not based on justice and economic prosperity for all. That's not what it's about. It's about domination for a few to maintain a position of power. And there is no room in their agenda to share wealth and share power. And that's why you see, even with the business arrangement in South Africa, where foreign companies are required to share 30% of the contract, where foreign companies are required to share 30% of their resources or their business operation with local indigenous South African, Elon must refuse. He refused to go through that process of joint venturing with a local South African and allow them to share the wealth on the ground, because he believes that he should have 100% ownership of any business or any profit that is made in any country he operates in. Well, he doesn't want to abide by the rule, and therefore he claimed that South Africans are persecuting him, and because he's white, in saying that he's a victim of racism. This is the kind of idiocy that is governing their thinking. And they can push these things out in the media, and we all can accept it and think that this is true. And that's why we have to push back against this falsehood. And we have to big up. I don't know much about the president of Ghana. I don't know his background. I don't know where he stands ideologically. But I've heard he's an Nkrumahist. That means he follows Kwame Nkrumah. And if he follows the ideology and the teachings of Kwame Nkrumah, then, we are on the same team. Because I also embrace the teachings of Kwame Nkrumah. And it is a good sign when African leaders can stand up for others when they see a grave injustice taking place in broad daylight. And that's what this video is about. It's to shed light on the fact. I think his name is Mahama, the president of Ghana, just recently been elected. And the fact that he came out, wrote a piece in The Guardian, a letter, an op-ed, where he pretty much point out the whole fallacy of the U.S. position and the accusation against Africa and South Africa, and it's an affront and an insult to African people at large. And you gotta stand up in these times, and it's not easy, because I know how easy it is to sit back and don't say nothing. Many of us can sit back, don't say nothing. It doesn't affect me, so why should I say anything? Because he may come after me next and try to punish me or withdraw some aid or whatever. But the fact of the matter is, U.S. under Donald Trump have already removed their aid. They've already removed any support they're giving countries around the world. So you don't have nothing to lose. What are they going to take from you now? Short of invading your country. So this whole idea of sitting back and don't say nothing and allow them to just run over another leader or run over another country or even invade another country, and we sit back and we don't say nothing. We see leaders getting targeted, like in Burkina Faso, how they target the brother Abraham Traore, and they try to target any leaders who don't support their agenda, any leader that go against their neo-colonial agenda. And what happened is that many of those African leaders who can do something, who can say something, instead decide to remain quiet. Don't say nothing. Don't upset it, and allow other leaders to be burned in the fire, and they stand back and watch. We need to end that. We need to unite and show solidarity. When one African country is attacked, all African world should unite in solidarity. To say, touch one, touch all. Just like what happened with Abraham Traore back in April, when the whole world, the Pan-African world, rally around the world to support him, because we know how imperialism operates. We know how neo-colonialism, they try to isolate you and eliminate you, and then things just continue as usual. Business as usual. We cannot allow these things to continue to happen like that. We have to take a stance. Because we could be next. Jamaica could be next. Trinidad could be next. Barbados could be next. Senegal could be next. We don't know where the threat may come from. Namibia may be next. So when you see an African leader is being slighted or under attack, our country is being slighted or under attack, when you see resources are being stolen from one country or another, we have a duty to speak up, to say something about it. And if we all stand together, we are stronger. But if we remain isolated and allow them to isolate us, they can pick us off one at a time. And many people stand aside and just watch. We have to break this cycle, the same vibes that we do, the same pattern that we're so predictable. You isolate one, you criticize him, you do all kind of damage to them economically, politically, in the media, and those who can say something refuse to say anything. We got to stop that. We have to stop that as a people and as African leadership. That is something that we're going to have to start doing. We got many regional and international organizations, and we don't hear nothing from them. The AU, for instance, the African Union, I haven't heard anything from them. I'm not saying that they haven't put out anything, but I have not heard anything. We haven't heard anything from ECOWAS. We haven't heard anything from SADC, SATU, whatever the name of that organization is for Southern African Regional Organization. Nothing. We haven't heard anything from CARICOM. We haven't heard anything from BRICS. We have to say something. When one country is being attacked, when one country is being accused, falsely accused, we have to stand up. We have to have the courage and the integrity to speak up and say, no, that is not right. That is an unfair treatment. And we need to be able to issue collective communique, where it goes out as a collective body. This is our statement. And if necessary, we have our own fact-finding mission to go and verify. And it says, we have confirmed, we can attest that no such thing has happened. Or this is happening, or that's not happening. We cannot allow ourselves to become isolated and to become silent when another African country or organization or individual is being targeted. That is not Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism, we have to stand on the truth, and we have to call out injustice. We have to call out inequality. We have to call out irregularity. We have to call out corruption. And we have to call out imperialism when we see it. We cannot remain idly by and allow these people to continue to isolate and eliminate us and undermine our country and our economy while they continue to loot and steal our resources. We cannot continue to allow these things to happen. We have to stand in solidarity with each other. This is something that we have to get right as a people. No one is going to come fix that for us. And no one can tell us how to unite. But I do know that the neo-colonial force are in power across most of Africa and most of the Caribbean. And it's very difficult to dislodge this embedded thinking that somehow neoliberal capitalism will solve our problem. Neoliberal capitalism will bring about equality, justice, and the repairing of our people. That is the thinking behind most of the neoliberal governments. They're not going to make too many revolutionary sacrifices on the behalf of a fellow African because they know that the punishment will be great. But there must come a time, and that time got to be now, where we must stand on principle. We must stand with our people and stand with governments regardless of their situation at the moment. We know we've been coming a long way, and we have a long way to go. But whenever there's a blatant injustice, a blatant falsehood, a blatant false accusation, we must call it out. Those in the media must call it out. Those in government must call it out. Especially the heads of state must call it out. We can't pretend like it doesn't affect us. And that is the point of this message. Pan-Africanism, we must stand together. We must stand in solidarity with each other, especially in the time of needs. Right now, Burkina Faso need us. They need us to support them because we know what imperialism is capable of doing. We have to rally behind the truth in South Africa. We're not saying that We're in love with these neo-colonial governments, but we have to be on the side of truth. And my people, I want to thank you for listening to another episode of Clear Thinking. I'm continuing to monitoring the situation across Africa and the Caribbean, and I will be giving you further update as they come out. And do like and share and subscribe, and do comment. What do you think about the Pan-African world stand together whenever one is attacked or one is falsely accused? Should the Pan-African world stand up in solidarity? Should heads of governments and ministry issue communication to the world where they stand on these issues instead of remaining silent? Give me your opinion. Let us have your comment. Join this discussion, my people. And thank you so much for listening to me. This has been Clear.